Everyone in Detroit
Radio Show 100
general managing, and no matter what he does, it's going to turn to gold. It's incredible. He just made one of the dumbest signings I've ever seen in free agency, and I'm not afraid to say it. Look, I think that Steve Yzerman is a fantastic GM, a great hockey mind, but you can't just absolve him from awful moves like this. The famous Yzer plan apparently involves going to go sign Justin Hall, who's a defenseman in his mid-30s and was often referred to as the worst defenseman on the Leafs, not just to a $3.4 million AAV contract. Hit that bad boy for 3 years for Justin Hall. This is a guy 31 years old who was struggling to stay in the Maple Leafs lineup during the playoffs because he was playing so poorly. And now a 3-year deal, again, starting at 31 years old, that's going to give him almost $4 million a season? What is Detroit doing? I understand they need some veteran defensemen to round out that group and help mentor guys like Mo Seider, but this just ain't it, man. What is that? Like, I know the Leafs didn't exactly do the greatest thing ever by giving Ryan Reeves a 3-year contract today, but they might have won free agency by dodging this bullet and letting Hall go do this, because what in the world? Yzerman, I mean, I don't understand how one of the best GMs in the league can make this move, even if it's to get to the cap floor or whatever. This is a team in the Red Wings who are trying to make the playoffs next year.
You never know what could happen. Well, that is on the table. Don't expect everything to go well. I think he was thinking, I don't know what he was thinking, but I think he was thinking that maybe it'll help us shape up our defense.
This move makes zero sense for that. I just don't get this one, and so many people give Yzerman their flowers, rightfully so. Like I said, he's extremely smart, but you gotta call him out when he makes a horrible move like this. Zero sense. Even if the Chicago Blackhawks were to do this, it would be like, what? But a team that's trying to make the playoffs next year? Come on, Yzerman. Doesn't make sense to me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Ordinary dish soap can leave visible grease behind. Only Dawn Platinum will
So after they won a free agency, Bradford Living in the Leafs had lost Ryan O'Reilly to the Predators and Luke Shen to the Nashville Predators. They'd lost Kerfoot, Justin Hall, Michael Bunting signed a big deal with the Carolina Hurricanes, so they lost a bunch of guys there that were key to the team and only signed Ryan Reeves to a 3-year contract. So as you can imagine, a ton of Leaf fans wanted Brad Treliving's head on a silver platter. Oh, this guy sucks. Calgary fans who told me he's smart were lying. This is the worst GM in history. Go back to Boston Pizza. I heard it all from Leaf fans on Twitter after July 1 there. But now, a lot of Leaf fans owe Brad Treliving an apology.
Throw him out! Get rid of him!
And I said it. Just wait. The big moves are coming. I saw it for 9 years in Calgary. BP Brad does not stand pat. He's going to do something to make this team better, and it's going to come soon. Bang. First thing he did, John Klingberg to a 1-year deal, just over $4 million. Say what you will about Klingberg, but on a 1-year leash where he's got to play his butt off to earn another contract after this, you know you're going to get a good value from John Klingberg. I love that deal. But he wasn't done there. Today he goes and signs one of the top free agents on the market, Tyler Bertuzzi, and this is a guy that's a little bit risky to lock in long-term given the way he plays. So Brad only signs him to a 1-year deal, $5.5 million. He's basically Bunting's replacement, and let's not kid ourselves, he is a much better player than Michael Bunting. That is a home run swing from Treliving. In my mind, Tyler Bertuzzi is exactly the type of player that the Toronto Maple Leafs needed to add to get them over the hump. But still missing a little bit of punch in that forward group because they lost Alex Kerfoot as well as Bunting and O'Reilly. Well, he goes out and he signs.
We're still seeing if Austin Matthews trips on a rock, the Toronto Maple Leafs GM rock, and falls into that free agency hole and becomes a free agent.
One of the guys who impressed me the most in this playoffs with the Dallas Stars, Max Domi, whose dad bled Toronto Maple Leafs blue. That deal is 1 year, just above $3 million, another shrewd move from Brad, and Habs fans will like to point out that Domi said a lot of things about hating the Leafs while he was with the Habs. Can you blame him? He was playing for the Montreal Canadiens. Doesn't mean that now he's going to hate the Leafs while he's playing for them. Come on, now he loves the Leafs again. His dad is a legend for the team. He's going to bleed blue and white just like Ty did. And just like Bertuzzi, he's mean, but he's also skilled and he can put up points. He'll go to the dirty areas to score, exactly what the Leafs need in a player. So right there, you cannot tell me that Bertuzzi and Domi isn't a crazy upgrade over Bunting and Kerfoot. And I understand they haven't completely plugged the hole left by Ryan O'Reilly there, but that's what Matthew Knies is for. The steps he took in the playoffs, he's going to be a player, and trust me, he's going to take a step this year into that forward group for the Leafs. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a consistent top 6 forward for this Maple Leafs team. He's a great player in the making here. And all of a sudden, this Maple Leafs team is a lot scarier, meaner, and better than in years past. They might have to make a move up front. Some people are talking about Nylander or something like that.
It's time for them to make the third round. Maybe the Stanley Cup Finals. It's time for a Stanley Cup team. It's time for a Canadian team to be in the finals.
Move needs to come on the defensive side of things, because McCabe and Giordano on the left side there isn't exactly a pillar of reliability, but it's also not the worst in the league, so we'll see what happens there. I don't think Brad is done by any stretch of the imagination here, but what a couple of tidy, incredible moves by the GM of the Leafs here, and the people who are calling for his head after less than a month, really you owe him an apology, because what a tidy piece of business by Brad Treliving.
Off with the head!
So back in November 2021, the Jack Eichel sweepstakes were in full swing. The star player of the Buffalo Sabres was unhappy with how the team handled his neck injury, and it had escalated so bad that it was the point where the only viable option was to trade him going forward. As I'm sure you can imagine, teams were lining up to try to acquire Jack Eichel, a big, skilled, strong #1 centerman. Are you kidding me? Sign me up. But his trade value was diminished because he was starting to build this reputation of having a bad attitude, somebody you can't win with, a locker room cancer. This stuff was starting to come out. He has a bad temper. So teams were weary trying to give up the farm to get Jack Eichel. Ain't that one ironic now? On the flip side of things, the Calgary Flames just came off a terrible bubble season in the North Division where they ended up missing the playoffs, and the Montreal Canadiens took that final spot and rode it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Gaudreau and Tkachuk were coming off the...
What are you talking about? Toronto made the playoffs. They made it this year, they made it last year. So what are you talking about? Am I on the right video? Yeah, this was yesterday.
Worst offensive season.
Are you sure you didn't re-upload a video?
Since their rookie years, and the team was desperately looking for an offensive star driver. But to start the 2021-22 season, this Gaudreau, Lindholm, Tkachuk line was really cooking, but no way they can keep that up for the whole season, right? No, we gotta go look for a trade to get a star. Let's get in this Jack Eichel mix here. And then Kevin Weeks, who I gotta say is by far my favorite hockey insider, dropped a tweet that damn near broke hockey Twitter. And the funniest part is that this tweet is now deleted, but you can find it if you do a Google search or something. For all asking, my understanding is the NHL Flames have Tkachuk, who is a future potential captain and an upcoming first-round pick, a former first-round pick, and 2 prospects in the Eichel sweepstakes with the Buffalo Sabres. Talk about a trade that would have blown up the league, man. And I know that Tkachuk's value wasn't what it was coming off of the season he would have after this tweet, over 104 points, and we know what he did with the Panthers. Now he's considered like a top 5 player in the league. But there's no way that it would have been all of that for just Eichel, right? I mean, that is insanity. And I know people like to act like they're that so Raven. They knew Tkachuk was going to leave Calgary, but at this point, this was a bombshell. This is the first I ever heard about Tkachuk possibly not signing on long-term with the Flames and becoming the next captain and being here for a very, very long time. So it was a shock to a lot of people. What do you mean Tkachuk is in trade rumors?
Okay, so 4 days ago, he signed a contract. If Emmett's not watching this, I don't know. Maybe I should do a collab with Emmett.
And looking back at it now, maybe this was the first sign of Tkachuk not wanting to be in Calgary for the long haul. He started maybe planting seeds there. Because again, we know what happens next. He's out of there pretty much 8 months later. And here's the kicker. 2 days after Kevin Weeks tweets this out, Jack Eichel gets traded to the Vegas Golden Knights for a package that mimics somewhat what Kevin Weeks had tweeted out 2 days before. And to be honest with you, if the Calgary package did include a first-round pick, Tkachuk, and a couple of prospects, especially if you're talking Matthew Coronato or Connor Zary or Jacob Pelletier, I do think the Calgary package would have been much stronger for Buffalo, and that leads me to believe that Brad Treliving here probably nixed this and said, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to ride this out, and hey, it led to them winning the division and going to the second round. And a lot of Flames fans like to look back at this potential trade with rose-colored glasses, like, oh, it would have been so nice to have Eichel instead of Huberdeau. We would have had a number 1 center. Maybe that would have been us in the Stanley Cup final instead of Vegas. I don't think any of that is true, to be honest with you. And again, who's to say that Jack Eichel, just because he has term on his contract, would want to be a Calgary Flame? It's very possible that we're talking about a Pierre-Luc Dubois type situation here, where Treliving or Conroy now would have to go and trade Jack Eichel because he doesn't want to be a Calgary Flame anymore. And on the Buffalo side of things, remember, Tkachuk was less than a year away from being an RFA there, and I mean, for how much he loves being in Florida and being a Florida Panther and the lifestyle, the cars and everything, are we sure he would have re-signed with the Buffalo Sabres? I mean, they might have been in a sticky situation themselves over there. So, again, this trade would have blown up these 2 teams and the whole league for a bunch of different reasons. Maybe you get Tkachuk who moves again, Eichel who moves again, and those other pieces are kind of in flux everywhere. This would have been craziness, chaos. So, I had to talk about it here. So juicy and interesting. Flames fans, Sabres fans, just general hockey fans, what do you think about this trade if it would have gone down? Let me know in the comments down below. As usual, if you're new here, I make videos like this every single day. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.
And I'll see you in the next one. And